So I'm really, really excited because tonight you guys get to hear from the incredible Courtney Foster. So Courtney, first of all, no, we're not related, but I mean, we could be, let's be real. She's awesome. And we're actually both from Murfreesboro. So she's in the same town as me, which is funny because she followed me for like 5 years and we talked like a million times before we finally met in real life and went to the She Works This Way conference together, and she ended up signing up and becoming a coach. So Courtney is a great example of what it looks like to just build a relationship with someone, and they may not sign up immediately, but just kind of what can happen over time. Courtney is currently an Emerald coach working very closely towards Diamond. So she'll probably be there in the next few weeks, if not the next week. But I'll let her share a little bit more just about her why. But I'll just say this really quickly because she probably wouldn't say this about herself. Courtney is incredible at just like building relationships with people. She is so authentic, so genuine. We actually go to the same church. She's on staff at our church. And so I know tons of people that know her. And I think everyone would say that about her, is that she's just such a caring person, and just very open and honest and real. And I've heard her speak in front of hundreds of people before, thousands actually, at our church on Sunday mornings even. And so I know her very well, and she has such an amazing heart. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear from her tonight on what it looks like to build relationships with people that you don't even know online through Instagram. So thank you guys for being on tonight, and thank you, Courtney, for speaking tonight on our team call. So I'll let you kind of take it away.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thanks, Caroline. I'm super excited to be here with you guys tonight and just talk. And here, I'll go ahead, I guess, and share my screen. Let me see. This will just be easier just from the get-go. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Did that work? Okay. Present. I've never done this Canva presentation and not at the same time as Zoom. So Caroline, that'd be the right. Oh wait, here it goes. Did that work? Yay! Okay. Caroline muted herself. Okay. So I'm just gonna go through this. And so tonight, like she said, I'm just gonna talk about cultivating relationships and conversations. This is something that people have been asking me about lately that I feel like has happened for me, like she said, pretty naturally, only because of the nature of my full-time job, and that is vocational ministry. And so I just wanted to walk through this with you guys. It's something that I'm really passionate about, because nowadays a lot of the work that I do with people, ministry, happens on a phone or happens through texting or calling or even sometimes over Instagram. And so the Lord has just blessed me with the opportunity to get to have a lot of deep conversations with people that maybe I've never met in real life. And that has translated a lot into coaching. And so I have a lot of things. And so I'm going to get to it. So introduction, this looks like a lot, but there's a point. So I graduated from the University of Georgia, go Dogs, with a bachelor's in accounting, which surprises a lot of people. And like Caroline said, I work in full-time vocational ministry. So I work with college students. It's the best job on planet Earth. And I'm a newlywed. I got married in August, and we actually just bought a house, which a lot of you have seen. And I've been coaching since January. I was going to share a little bit about mine and Caroline's crazy story, but you guys just heard that. Just the power of consistency is shown in the fact that I'm leading this call tonight, 5.5 years after I first started following Caroline. My husband manages a Chick-fil-A, and one day we want to own a Chick-fil-A. That's the goal. We have a cat named Dolly. I also love natural living, essential oils, homesteading, if you know what that is. Like, I want to make homemade bread and have a garden and all that. But that, obviously, that introduction was not necessary, but I have a point. And so why did I just share all of that with you guys? Obviously, I want to know you and you guys to know me, but a relationship usually begins with a connection. And so as you are out there talking to people, the reality of it is that not everybody that you engage, a lot of women that you engage aren't going to be interested in health and fitness right now. But you want to find some way that you can connect with them. And my husband always makes fun of me that I do this with everybody that we meet, and sometimes it annoys him, but I'm looking for ways that I can bridge that gap between I'm over here, they're over here. How can I find something that we have in common? And so think about when we first signed up as coaches, Caroline sends us that color wheel. And so in that color wheel, there's all these different things. And so what you want to figure out is, where does your color wheel intersect theirs? What parts of your life overlap with theirs, so that as you're starting this conversation, you find that common ground of where you guys overlap. And this can be before you talk about Beachbody or after, whatever, but you want to find something that it's just natural for you to talk about with them. And I think it's going to feel a lot more genuine that way. And so the first thing is just to take a step, and I'm going to show you practically how to do that later, or how I do that. But just say, hey, like just welcome them to your page. Thank them for following you, whatever that is. But don't feel all this pressure to create this huge, meaningful relationship just off the get-go, and you're going to end up word vomiting all over somebody. Just say hello. Just take a step. And then from there, prioritize getting to know them. And then what this call is going to kind of be centered around is serving. And so then begin serving them, because that's the end goal. And that's the freedom about the way that we do this as believers, is that our end goal here is not to sell someone something. Because if our main goal is to just sell, people are going to see right through us. But if our main goal is to serve and love women, and that's our why, well, then we are freed up. If they buy something, awesome. Then we get to sell something that's changed our lives to them. But if they don't, we continue to serve and love them, and there's freedom in that. And so feel free and we talk about conversations tonight, and as you're having conversations with women, that like, regardless of what happens, you're not a failure, because you're just talking to this person to love them and serve them. And so I have the sentence down here that conversation is a means to discover how we can best serve. And so that is what helps us push past the awkward. That's what helps us push past the weirdness or insecurity, is that I'm seeking to serve this person and love this person. And you know how that's going to happen a lot of times? Conversation. And so here, here are the things I'm going to talk about. Serve before selling, serve in lieu of selling, serve by selling, and serve after selling. So I'll give you a second. If you're like writing stuff down, you can see that. And so I think that you can see that and think, okay, what on earth? I thought we were talking about conversations tonight. Well, think of your conversation with this woman as a way to serve her, because that is our end goal, is serving. And so as you'll see they're right there, regardless of what happens, sale or no sale, joining or not joining, we want to continue to serve these women and to create a relationship with them. So let's keep going. Serve before selling. And so here's the reality situation. With network marketing growing, people are going to assume that as a coach, which our Instagram makes it pretty clear that we're a coach, that we're going to attempt to sell them something at some point. That's just true a lot of the time. But the freedom and the amazing thing about the way that we do it, and what makes us different, is that we are going to prioritize getting to know these people. And so I would encourage you, before selling, a lot of times, just welcome somebody to your page and thank them. That's where most of my conversations have come from, is that initial message. And you'll see that later. And I'm not saying at all that cold calls are bad. I think a lot of times cold invites can work, but in just a second, we'll see serving in lieu of selling. What happens after that is what makes us different. But serving before selling, how can you love this person, get to know this person, ask them about what they do, ask them about what they're passionate about before you ever get to what you do. And so a lot of ways that happens for me is figure out what my audience wants to see. You know, what posts get the most engagement? People, what do they answer on my polls? I'll ask questions. For example, I just posted about reasons that Drew should let me get the dog, which we didn't get, by the way, and I'm upset about it. But in that, everybody that responded, I went through and replied and was like, oh my gosh, like, that's so funny. Do you have a dog? Or, what kinds of dogs do you have? Or how long have you had a dog? And that's just a conversation starter. And for me, that's how it happens a lot of times, is just that engagement and just flow naturally. Because if you continue to talk to them and ask them questions, eventually, this will come up, I'm assuming, because they'll ask. And then serve them at no cost. And so I think this is one of the biggest things for me with conversations is as I'm showing up consistently, as you're posting on your Instagrams, people are watching and people are noticing. And I think that just taking the time to thank them and engage them, you don't realize what it means to people. And just by taking the time to say, hey, thank you so much for watching. Hey, thank you so much for following. People have sent the most encouraging message that has spurred me on and that shows them that I care. And so I would just encourage you to, if you haven't done this, start chunking away at your followers list and just serve and thank those women. Another way is ask them how you can pray for them, listen, ask questions, all those things. You can begin serving them at no cost. And yeah, figuring out what they want to see. What do they want to talk about? Well, then start talking to them about that. If they want recipes, ask them what kind of recipes. And then that will lead to, well, hey, there's the TV mindset, or whatever. And then it seems very natural instead of a little bit forced. Next one. I'm going to keep going so I don't keep talking. Serve in lieu of selling. And so what I don't want you to hear in this is that I'm telling you to serve women to sell them something. That absolutely is never something that I will ever do or say. And so as we go through this, I want you to hear our serving is different. We're not serving to sell something. And that's the freedom, is that as believers, we are called to love and serve people, period. And so regardless of if they ever join us as a client or as a coach, whatever, we're going to continue to serve and love them. So serving in lieu of selling. Do not end the relationship if the sale is shut down. Clearly, here I am because I shut down a sale with Caroline tons of times, but 5.5 years later, here I am sharing this with you. And so that's just proof that if you maintain that relationship, and hey, maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, maybe they never join Beachbody, but there are women that I get the opportunity to talk to about things that are much more important than Beachbody, about the gospel, about how to study their Bible, because I'm in this position. And so do not end that relationship, because at the end of the day, selling something is not our end goal. And so there are going to be people out there that need this program, that they need these nutrition programs, these workouts, but there are going to be people out there that they just need to see us showing up. They just need somebody to listen. They need a stranger just to talk to. And if we end that relationship just because they didn't want to join our challenge group, we never know what opportunity we may have missed to love them well. And so I almost treat this like a game. Like, what is my bigger why? And if they've said no to joining Beachbody right now, how can I figure out how my why still applies to them? And so figure out how can you continue to serve them, love them, and have those conversations with them. Sorry, my husband just came in from mowing the grass. And so, yeah, in lieu of selling, just if they are meant to join you, they will at the right time. And so, again, that's the freedom that you can just continue to love and serve them regardless of if they buy something right now. Let me have a chat. Chat. Drew, what are you doing? Okay.
Sorry, I distracted you, Courtney.
You're fine. I was trying to figure out like how to see the chat, but I can't figure out how to see the chat, so it's fine.
It wasn't a question, it was just me responding.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and so this slide can get a little bit weird, but hang in with me. And this is a point of view that I've just recently started to embrace, because let's be real, we all feel weird about selling stuff. But like I've said a bunch of times already, that selling is not our why or our end goal. And so we can feel freedom that as we're having conversations with women, we don't have to feel weird about it, because selling isn't our end goal. Whether or not they buy something from us, we're still there. We're still in it for that relationship. And so we don't have to feel weird when the time comes where we do present what we have to offer and what we want to sell them. And so I found this article that I would really recommend you guys checking out. It's like very short, and there's a video that's also very short. But he has this quote, and he says, many people define selling as the process of manipulating people into buying things they neither want nor need. And then, but really, later he says, selling is the process of making dreams come true. which I feel like that's a little much, but not necessarily, because here we all are, because someone sold us a challenge pack, and now here we are coaching. But I just think, think about what these programs, products, and coaching have done for us. Think about all the things that have happened in your life because of this opportunity, because of these programs, that we're here. We're from all over the world, and we're sitting here getting to talk about our faith, getting to talk about serving women in health and fitness. And I also listened, if you don't listen to Jenna Kutcher, she's awesome. Her podcast is great. And she had a mentorship call with her mentor, who just talked about selling. And the thing is that if you are talking these women and serving them, if you really believe in this company, if we really believe in this opportunity that we have, then it's just natural that we are going to serve these women by selling to them this thing that we have. And that's not, whether or not they buy it is whatever, but at least if we're not at least attempting to communicate to them this amazing opportunity or the way these programs work and have changed our life, then we're doing them a disservice. If we aren't doing it with our full heart and authentically and real, tell your real story. I think people, when they see these gimmicky things like, hey girl, I something, which I say hey girl all the time, but the content matters. I think that if you're serving women, if your heart is to serve them and love them, well, that's going to come across in your entire conversation, including, but not limited to, selling. And when the time comes in the relationship conversation for you to sell, do it with everything that you got. And if they say, you know what, no thanks, I'm good, not right now, well, you show that you're different by the follow-up. You don't just say, okay, that's fine, well, TTYL, bye. No, if you continue that relationship, continue the conversation, then selling happens naturally. And then maybe they're interested, maybe they're not. Well, the relationship continues. And because Caroline did that, I'm sitting right here. And so just want to encourage you, though, that part of our serving women through these conversations is selling. Part of the nature of our business is selling these things, but it is not the end goal, and it is not the only thing. But figured it was necessary to talk about. So if you think about, as you're having the conversations and sending the invites, if you think about it, change your mindset to think, you know what, I'm serving them because I know what these things have done for me, then the way you talk about it changes a little bit. And so I just encourage you to do that. Okay, and then serving after selling. And so after you have sold them something, after they've bought the product, we know this, that unlike a lot of MLMs, our job starts after the sale. It doesn't end at the sale. And so what I would encourage you to do is get to know these women that are buying things from you. For a lot of women, $160, $200 is tons of money. I feel that. We just bought a house. And so I know, that's a lot for some women. And so continue to serve them and love them, check in on them, ask how you can pray for them. I think, as you grow and as you get more challengers and more women in your virtual gym, Caroline has a ton, it will get really hard to know them all individually. Like, for example, I am in a ministry right now with about 300 to 400 college students, probably 70% of them female. It's going to be really hard for me to text all of those women regularly and get to know them. But in the same way, with the ministry, we have kind of a core team of people that are really engaged, and I connect with those women regularly. Okay, who are the women that are showing up in your virtual gym? Who are the women reaching out to you? Serve them by offering your time. Send them a voice message of encouragement. Ask how they're doing this week. Just continue those conversations there. But I feel like we talk about that a lot and that we're pretty good at that. So here's the good stuff, the practical stuff. So number one, I do this with every single, and you'll see it's really paid off a lot. Welcome every new follower. And again, as you get bigger and you're growing faster, that can get hard to do. I know that I hear there's like I'm muting. I can hear like a rocket ship thing. There we go.
Engages all interaction.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, welcome every new follower. So everyone that follows you, yeah, I was saying Caroline and Aaron, I think, have personal assistants that do this. Maybe that's something that you might consider doing. It's something that I'm starting to consider doing. But you can save a message in Instagram in the quick replies, and I have that later. Initiate in stories, reply to people watching your stories and thank people for engaging. That's kind of how you start the conversation. Where are your people engaging on your Instagram or whatever? Just start the conversation. Just say thank you or just say hello. So many of my long conversations that have led to all kinds of different things just started with that first step. Step number 2, find a connection. Like I said, where does your color wheel overlap with theirs? What do you have in common? For example, I talked to this girl this past week. Her husband is a football coach. Well, my dad's a football coach. So we started to talk about that, and I started to talk about what she does. That's how you can have these relationships with people. Just find a connection. And then one way to keep the conversation going is to try and end with a question. A question is a mini call to action because you're calling them to act by responding. And so I would say that's one way to keep the conversation going. Number 3. And so if you feel like, okay, I've talked to these people, where do I go from here? Well, I will go back through my inbox and remember who I've talked to and follow up. Some people formally track, some people don't. I've done both. And so you just decide what works for you. Maybe you keep people in an Excel file, maybe you write them down, whatever. Maybe that stresses you out and you literally just want to go back through your inbox and click and remember this conversation. I do that a lot of times. I'll scroll way back and just follow up with people. Like, who did I talk to 2 months ago? What are they doing now? That kind of thing. And then when the time is right, share what you do and invite. Sometimes that time will be very beginning. If you have somebody that your discernment is telling you is going to respond to a cold call, like you want to just present the opportunity straight up front, do it. But sometimes I think, you'll send that welcome message and you'll get the vibe that, they're kind of hesitant of what you're doing. And so just continue to get to know them. But the time will come eventually where, either they're going to say I'm in, like on a poll to your challenge group, or you just continue to get to know them and share the invite. And so again, just follow up. That is huge. And not even necessarily about your challenge group. Follow up, like if they told you that, they're trying to, I don't know, if they have some goal, or they have, I had a girl who had a trip to Waco coming up, and I had just gone to Waco. Well, I followed up and was like, hey, how was your trip to Waco? Because why? It shows that I care. And my end goal here is to serve her and show her that I care about her, not to sell her something, but just to just know this person. Because as the church, the capital C church, we're called to love and serve people. And God's given us this avenue to be able to do that. So following up. Ooh. Next. Okay, some examples. So step 1, I sent a either general message or made a connection. And so the girl on the left, this is my general message right here that I send to everybody. I say, insert name here. Thank you so much for following me. Seriously, means so much. And I actually want to take time to get to know people on here. Where are you from? So I use their name. That personalizes it. And then, let's see. Can I show you where my mouse is? I don't know. And then I end with a question. Where are you from? And so here it is. So not too far in the question, what do you do? And we talk about this. What is your dream job? And maybe this seems like I'm interviewing them, but it seems to work. And I'll show you later. So then here's this other girl. I found a connection. She goes to the University of Georgia and lives in Athens. And so this is how that started. Question. So anyways, I just asked them about them because I've found that most of the time people, they want to be asked about themselves. They enjoy when somebody takes the time to ask them about themselves instead of telling them about themselves. Does that make sense? So you want to ask them, like I said, what is your dream job? Because maybe she's never gotten the opportunity to tell anybody what her dream job is. Maybe she's never even thought about what her dream job is. And by this conversation, that's come up and she's thought about what her dream job is. And so regardless of if she ever joins Beachbody, like I got to have this conversation with her, and she got to think about what her dream job was. And then this other girl, you know, we just get to know each other and make that connection and talk about all these things. But the cool thing is that both of these girls are now considering coaching, which is really, really cool. And a lot of times, you know, stuff like that happens, but sometimes it doesn't. And so that's my next example. Let's see. Did it click? There we go. So routine welcome. Let me see. That happened a while ago. This is like down in our conversation. But long story short, they said no to, this girl voted in my poll on the left. And I had her fill out my link in my bio or whatever. Girl on the right, I've been talking to her for like almost since I started coaching. Regardless, both of them said no to joining a challenge group or, you know, having me as their coach. Sorry, can't think. Both of them said no, but we still have a relationship. And so, for example, here she said, I'm being honest, can't do that right now. Well, I still texted her. So she still texted me like, hey, I did a workout today. Hey, I went on a run today. Hey, I walked today. You know, she sends me those messages, and that like lights a fire under me, because you know what? I'm not even this girl's coach, but like she is sharing with me. And you know, my why is to serve women in their health and fitness. And just because of our connection, she's feeling the desire to work out and tell me about it. And that's happened with a few different girls I don't even coach. And so they remind me of my greater why behind coaching or just even having this Instagram is to inspire women. And you know what? Maybe one day they join a challenge and maybe they don't, but I feel like I really know these two humans, and that's really cool because I would have never met them otherwise. And so, yeah, she sent me a picture of her weed eating today. And like she and I the girl on the right, have had really cool conversations about marriage and about motherhood and about insecurities. And none of that would have happened if I had never just initiated that conversation and kept the conversation going and asked her how I can be praying for her, asked her, you know, I don't even know, just questions. And so, yeah, there's that. Let's see. Okay, this is really cool. And I'm going to give a massive shout out to one of my new coaches, Jamie. But I wanted to encourage you as you think about starting these conversations that you never know what God is already doing in somebody else's heart and somebody else's life. And if you are hesitant to start that conversation with them, you never know when you will miss the opportunity to speak into what God is already doing. Ooh, it's already 8:30. Okay, I'm almost done. But so look at the left. This was our first initial conversation. There's my routine message. And we started talking. Well, on the right, we're still talking. And, you know, she's asking for prayer. And I would always encourage any girl that's considering coaching to pray through it. But I asked if she wanted to chat on the phone. And so, yeah, you can read all the stuff that I typed out. But basically, you know, there was days and days we were just talking through everything. And now like she is crushing it. If you're not following her, follow her. She has just amazed me with the passion that God's already given her for this. And it all started with just that routine message. And it honestly, it took a little while before, you know, we talked about what I do or what she's passionate about, all that stuff. But it's really cool how just having the conversation has led to now she is killing it as a coach. And so then I wanted to share this with you guys. This girl, I don't know that she was even following me. Maybe she found me on a hashtag or something. But I just want to encourage you that even if you're not having like a DM conversation with somebody, your posts are a conversation with somebody. It's you faithfully sharing what the Holy Spirit has laid on your heart. And so as you're sharing, I wanted to encourage you that you never know who you're touching that you don't even know about. They've never texted you. They've never let you know. And one day I got this message, and I had had a really hard week, like we all do with coaching. And we're like, oh, like, why, should I even be doing this? And I got this message. And it reminded me why I'm doing this. And it reminded me why I push back the awkward to talk to these women, even if they think that I'm just trying to sell them something. I want to prove them wrong. I want to show women that I really am doing this to love them and serve them. And that's what I hope comes across in my conversations and posts. So anyways, this was just really motivating. And I want to encourage you that your vulnerability and the way that you relate to women, even by your posts, can also lead to conversations. And so like she and I have talked a lot since then, just about, how Satan tried to attack me during that season and all that kind of thing. So action steps, because Caroline put in the little thing that there would be plenty of action steps. So I wanted to make sure that there were some. So first, this is huge. Craft a welcome message and save it to your Instagram quick replies. So if you want to Google like how to make an Instagram quick reply, it'll show you. I tried to put a screen recording on here. It just didn't work well. But craft a welcome message. I would say include their name in it. That's pretty personal, and it shows that you at least took the time to figure out what their name was. And then end it with a question. I did not put in there, maybe it's where are you from? If it's a blogger type girl, I'll add on the end, how long have you been blogging? Or recently, I've started to reach out to more girls who look like they're interested in health and fitness. And I'll just say like, how long have you been coaching, or are you a coach, or, whatever. End with a question. That's my biggest takeaway, because why? That initiates the conversation. And then continue to sprinkle in questions, because that drives the conversation forward. Begin engaging. What did I mean? Oh, okay. I think that I meant to put something different for the first sentence right there. But what I mean by that is, I think I meant begin inviting with engaging. And so a lot of times, if I'm being completely honest, I don't invite girls straight out the gate. I tend to start the relationship first. Like if you watch the Wake Up Call with, I forget his real name, but he's a guy that's a coach in New York. But he talks about how he builds that relationship with people first before he ever invites people. And that's kind of how I do things. Like I welcome them, I get to know them. And a lot of times I honestly don't even bring up what I do. I'll ask them what they do. And if they ask me what I do, well, then I tell them. But a lot of times I just invest in that relationship and lay that groundwork. And then I follow up with them on whatever we talked about, like a week or 2 weeks later. Then down the road, I'll say, you know what, hey, I have this group coming up. I really thought about you because of, XYZ, you're a busy mom, or you're working full time, or this, and we're starting this workout program. It's only 30 minutes a day. And I thought about you because I know you're super busy and thought you might be interested, whatever. Inviting feels more natural when you've laid that foundation. And try to initiate new conversations every day, even if they're not about inviting, even if you've already invited all of these people, how can you go back and just talk to them anyways? Not about coaching, not about the challenge group, just talk to them. Hey girl, how are you doing? I know we talked about this. How's that going? Or, whatever. This is a big goal, especially if you haven't messaged people historically. Try and have messaged each follower at least once. And Caroline has a ton of followers, so that would be hard. But I think, again, if you're welcoming them as they follow you, this gets easier. But that's somewhere to start, because I know that the more conversations that I'm having, the more girls that I'm getting to serve through health and fitness, but getting to serve in other ways as well. Stuff happens when I'm faithful to just step out and have conversations. And so, find ways to begin serving in a way that creates relationships. And sometimes that's through Beachbody, and sometimes that's not. But a lot of times that's cool too. Like I had a girl reach out to me and ask me how to study God's word. That's amazing. Like that's a huge win. And maybe I never saw her something ever, but just find ways to engage people. Let's see. Thank you. Okay, that's the end. And so I wanted to leave time for you guys to have questions because there may be specific things that you guys are struggling with or questions that you might have. Let me see the chat. Yeah, questions. Shay, hit me up.
Okay, so this is a really simple question, but it just popped in my head while you were saying that. Yeah. But like, do you message every single person, like even people that are like huge, have 50,000 followers? That's a huge number. I'm just throwing it out there. But like, so you send a message to every single person who follows you, even if maybe they're already a Beachbody coach or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, other than there are a few people, and you can usually tell if they're playing the follow unfollow game. I mean, if they have, there's this one girl, what's her name? I don't know. She's followed me like 6 times. And so like, I know that she's like trying to get me to follow her back. I'm like, girl, I'll see you, but no. I think you just use your discernment in that. And I think at the end of the day, like they're a person too, you know, if you are just welcoming them and thanking them, absolutely nothing can go wrong there. And, you know, as you grow and your Instagram following grows, you might need some help doing this because it can get time consuming. Ask Caroline. But that's where a personal assistant can come in handy or something like that, where you're still like, it means so much to people. I don't even have 1,000 followers yet. And I have had girls that are like, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And like, that's so crazy, but that's the world that we live in, where people like are astounded that I would even just take the time to be like, hey, where are you from? And like, I don't even have a lot of followers yet, or 900 is a lot, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think, yeah, just message as many people as you can. And let's say that the 20,000 girl replies to you. Like, that's awesome. And you get to know her. And yes, also with other coaches. Yeah, I do. Because if nothing else, like, again, you just get to serve them and be like, how long have you been coaching? Oh, cool. Like, that's awesome. And like, a lot of coaches do not know Jesus. And so if they see us love and serve them well, and obviously through our posts, we love Jesus, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, like they're so much different than any other coach, because they didn't just write me off because I was already a coach. Like, she actually cares to know me. So I would almost say even more so message other coaches, because yeah.
I had like a few things to add to what you just said, if that's okay.
Yes.
But from like a few things I've learned is, I mean, I've never signed up a coach who had thousands and thousands of followers from the beginning, but I think sometimes like we think that, oh, they have 20,000 followers, like they don't need Beachbody, but bloggers don't really make money. Like the only way they make money is through affiliate links and stuff like that. And so sometimes you might be surprised that someone's like kind of willing to listen because maybe they see you doing it differently than they've seen other people doing it. So even though they have probably been approached by different people, it's even good for like, I've formed really great relationships and friendships with bloggers who will do like, especially here in town that live here, like we'll do stuff together or we might do a giveaway together. And that's a really great way for you to get in front of other people that aren't in the Beachbody bubble, you know, like by getting in front of her followers. So it may not be that they turn into a coach, but it's still a good relationship to have just because, you know, it turns into, you know, that. Also, I'll say like, you know, I'm going to use an example of Gretchen from Well Watered Women. Like we started talking on Instagram and she started sending me like the Give Me Jesus journal and stuff like that. And now she's about to sign up for a challenge group. And I mean, that's awesome if she like posts her sweaty selfie and tags me in it. Like think about all the people that will be like, oh, I'm going to go follow her. Like I would never ask Gretchen to be a coach, but if I can like coach her well, then that's a good, I mean, she's got an influence. And so that's just a cool thing. And then the other thing I was going to say was just about messaging everybody and about like Beachbody and all that good stuff. It's been amazing to me just like how many other coaches like people who aren't on our team reach out to me and ask for guidance, because most teams, like even a believer within Beachbody, most of them don't have what we have here. You know, like a lot of them are sitting on a team where they're surrounded by non-believers. How I feel in my full-time job is how they feel here, you know? So it's one of those things I remember is like, I don't know. I'm recently been so like just inspired and encouraged by just the impact that we can have with other coaches and the network in general, you know? So I thought that was a really cool point that you brought that up, Courtney.
Thanks. Yeah, I think anytime I'm having a conversation with people, I just filter back through, and really I do this with a lot of things, like encourage my girls I coach, like, what's your end goal in doing this? And so our end goal in having conversations is just to serve and love people, because that's what we're called to do as the church. And so anybody that ever follows me or whatever, like, how can I, because my real end goal past all this is to talk about the Lord. And that's all of us. So yeah, because like at Summit, they're obviously all coaches, but I'm trying to have conversations with them. So any other questions?
And Courtney and I talk about this a lot, but just how at Beachbody in general, you know, you're going to hear people at Summit, or, I mean, if you like the first event you get to go to, you'll hear people talk and share their story, and they're like, Beachbody changed my life. Honestly, everything that they'll be telling their story, and you're like, they're going to say Jesus, but then they say Beachbody, and you're like, nah, girl, you're missing it. Like, if you think your life has changed because of Beachbody, just wait what Jesus can do. But it just goes to show how many people are searching, you know what I mean? Like, they're searching for something and they think they've even found fulfillment here. And so, I don't know. It's actually just like, I see people all the time at these events and sharing their story. And I'm just like, if you just knew Jesus, you would be like so on fire, you know? But anyway, that was a tangent.
Oop. My screen is frozen, but I can still hear. Does anybody else have any other questions, or even like practical stuff? Because I mean, I know that it can get hard, or, you know, you feel awkward, you feel like you don't know what to talk about, et cetera, et cetera. And like, I feel like a lot of this gets easier for me just because I talk to strangers all the time. And usually like our first meeting is about something really intense, like spiritual stuff. And so, yeah, I feel like I've had to push past a lot of that. But anything else?
I was just going to say, I think that it's one of this whole call tonight is one of those things where a lot of times we overthink it, you know, like, I know a lot of people are like, hey, Carolyn, what do you do? What are you saying? What do these conversations look like? And they want to see a copy and paste script of like what you say to someone. But it's like, you're really just having a conversation with them like you would a friend or someone that you just met, you know? And I think like, I mean, full transparency, like that's probably not as hard for me because I'm like from the South, and that's just what you do is you're nosy and you ask people a lot of questions. But I know that for especially other parts of the country, like that can be weird, like, you know? And so I think that a lot of times it's really that we overcomplicate it when it's like, okay, like focus on like being their friend and being nice and like not with the end goal of selling them something. And all of a sudden it changes the way they feel and the way that you feel when you're talking to them. So I don't know. It's really, really good stuff tonight, Courtney.
Thank you. Yeah, I think if that's my biggest takeaway is like reframe the mindset that you're serving, not selling. And then it just it's not weird anymore. So, all right.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for being on. I'm going to post this recording. So if you want to go back and look at the screenshot she shared or anything like that, do so. And yeah, just hit Courtney up if you have any questions. She's amazing. So hope you guys have a great night, and thanks so much for being on.
Thank you guys.